Hello, everybody. I'm the horror movie guy,
And I'm the horror movie uncle.
and today we watched Black Christmas 2006,
Yeah,
and
the first remake
the first,
of
yeah,
Black Christmas.
not the second one, which we will not be doing a review
Yeah,
of. So yeah, let's. So spoilers ahead.
yeah,
For this one. So here's kind of the rundown of it. So say it pretty similar to the first one. A group of sorority girls are in their house and they each start going missing, and all of a sudden Billy, who's the killer, and he gets a lot more depth in this movie, and he gets a backstory.
yeah. Billy gets a lot more of a backstory. For those who maybe didn't see the previous video that we made
Yeah.
about the original Black Christmas, the original 1974, um, Billy, it's maybe implied in the first film that the name of the killer is Billy, but it's never actually flat out said. But okay, so the killer in this film is definitely Billy.
It's Billy, yeah.
It's given the backstory that he was in the house that's now the sorority house.
He was abused,
Yeah,
he was abused by his parents. Some bad stuff happens to him. I'm not gonna say what, but
yeah,
then all of a sudden he gets a sister,
yeah. Named Agnes,
Agnes,
and
and if you
if
yeah,
you again in the original film, Agnes is also a name that is mentioned by the killer, but
yeah,
again, it's not something that's specifically stated as to who Agnes is,
yeah,
but also Agnes is very much a real character
mhm.
in the
And
remake.
the biggest thing that's different in this one is that Billy and Agnes are both killers in this, and
Yes.
they you see them physically attack
Yeah.
each victim, and there's I feel like there's a lot more deaths in this one.
I think that I don't know if there's more deaths necessarily, but it's definitely more violent.
It's way more
Way more
violent.
violent
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If
than the original film.
I know I said this in the original, where it's like if you don't like gore, then you should watch the original. If you do not like gore, giant red X. Do not watch this movie.
Yeah.
If
Um, what I was saying before to the horror
yeah,
movie guy was that this came out in 2006, which I saw it in the theater when it originally came out. And you have to understand
I
that,
wasn't born yet.
yeah, but you have to understand that in the 2000s, the mid 2000s, this movie was competing with other horror movies like the Saw franchise and Hostel and everything.
And
So
Final Destination.
Final Destination, that kind of thing, where all of the movies that came out were extremely violent. So this movie sort of had to be that violent, as opposed to in the 70s where you could more just get away with like suggesting things.
Yeah, I mean, like overall, this movie, it's a decent movie. It's good, not as good as the original.
It's obviously not as good as the original. I don't think you'd
Yeah,
find anyone who would say that this
yeah,
movie is as good or better than the original.
yeah,
I know there's probably somebody out there, but I I
probably.
don't know anybody who would.
Yeah,
But it has, you know what? It has a decent
a
cast
good
of
cast.
young up and coming actors at the time.
Yeah,
Michelle Trachtenberg, Katie Cassidy, Lacey Chabert, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Sort of the standard WB actors at the time.
yeah,
Now the CW, but the WB at the time.
yeah.
Those sort of actors making their way into horror films was a pretty common practice at the time. But yeah, it's got a decent cast. There's some cool kills in it, but it's not it's not reinventing the wheel. It's definitely not as innovative as the original Black Christmas. It's not as well written or well acted or anything like that, but it is a decent slasher,
Yeah.
mid 2000s type thing. If you've seen a mid 2000s slasher, movie, or one of the mid 2000s remakes that were out there, like the Hills Have Eyes remake or the Friday the 13th remake. It's pretty much in line with those. It's not too much different than any of those.
Yeah. So I mean, I personally would give this movie a 7 out of 10. I think there's definitely good parts, but there's definitely flaws in it where it's definitely not as good as the first one or original.
I'd
Um,
say 6
six,
out of 10, maybe 6.5.
six,
I'd say 6.5. I'd
six.
give it 6.5.
Alright, yeah. So if you want us to review any other remakes or any other movies, let us know.
Except for the
Except for the
2019 Black Christmas, I'm not going to watch that again because it's terrible. So anything other than that,
yeah.
if the horror movie guy wants to watch that on his own and review it, then he can. But I'm not going to watch it again because it's really, really bad.
Alright, yeah, well, please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. Again, comment anything you want us to do. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.